I was censored in social media by Alexandre de Moraes. Now I'm being politically persecuted by the Supreme Court, more specifically by another justice called Flávio Dino, and by the federal police in Brazil. So I used the tribune, that is, I spoke in the House's floor about the behavior of a federal police agent and the unlawful behavior. Because of this behavior of this federal police agent, Felipe Martins has been in jail or was in jail, was put in jail for more than 6 months. And I denounced that in the House floor. And because I denounced that, I'm now being prosecuted, which is ridiculous.
Hello, Mr. Van Hattem. Thank you for having you on our show. You are a deputy. In Britain, is it the member of parliament? In America, would be a congressman.
Yeah.
And we were talking about what your experiences are about censorship in your country, because you're one of the deputies who are politically persecuted by Alexandre de Moraes. Can you please give us an idea how that looks like in a so-called democracy Brazil?
Yeah, of course. Well, I thank you for having me. I'm very happy to share this with the world, although it is a sad situation. Brazil used to be, I normally say, the second largest democracy in the Americas. Only the United States is bigger than Brazil. But in the last years, especially after Lula, or just before Lula took office, but now with Lula in office, it's even worse. In the last period, we've been facing enormous challenges considering censorship. I was censored in social media by Alexandre de Moraes. Now I'm being politically persecuted by the Supreme Court, more specifically by another justice called Flávio Dino, and by the federal police in Brazil. So I used the tribune, that is, I spoke in the House's floor about the behavior of a federal police agent and the unlawful behavior. Because of this behavior of this federal police agent, Felipe Martins has been in jail or was in jail, was put in jail for more than 6 months. And I denounced that in the House floor. And because I denounced that, I'm now being prosecuted, which is ridiculous. I mean, here in Britain, where we are right now, in 1689, it's more than 3 centuries ago, the Bill of Rights came out. And the Bill of Rights at that time stated that members of parliament should be immune when it comes to what they speak in parliament, what they speak regarding their, opinions, their votes, their words. In Brazil, we have this since 1824, and we are an independent country since 1822. And in our current constitution, it's very, very clear that we are immune for any of our opinions. There's no way a member of parliament, a congressman, or a deputado, as we say it in Portuguese, there's no way a congressman can do a good job if he feels threatened by somebody when he speaks. So they want to silence me, that's for sure, especially because what I said was correct. And it doesn't matter. I mean, a member of parliament, a congressman, can say whatever he wants, even though if it's sometimes not correct. That's why, if I were obliged to say anything that is 100% correct in my life, I will be doomed to be silenced forever, because you never know if everything you say is 100% correct. So, but in this case, I said something that was very inconvenient for the authorities, and this is why they want to silence me.
And that's shocking, because I heard about immunity from politicians, especially deputies in the parliament of Brazil. So what can you do against that? Is there any lawful way that you can get a lawyer against that, or do you?
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, I have a lawyer, a very good one, but we have to remember that it is first and foremost a political judgment, right? So the Supreme Court is political. We have not really judges there, but justices that have been appointed by the president, and they actually are politicizing the whole court and the judiciary in Brazil. So I have a good lawyer, one of the best, I would say, if not the best, but I also need political support. So I have the support from the Speaker of the House, who's been also outraged at this situation. I have the support also of many of my colleagues, of course, especially in the opposition, and I've been gaining more and more support internationally to my case.
That's very important, but it's because we see all this lawfare
Yeah,
coming against you. Because I can just say it's lawfare, it's law,
yeah,
in a way as a tool for war, and trying to get you silenced.
yeah,
For something unlawful what another person happened. Because when I was in Brazil conducting my documentary, I saw the hearing about the January 8th prisoners,
yeah.
where they were talking about to let them out, and I had the chance to talk to the family from Clezão. So there is a lot of unlawfulness going on in Brazil right now. Do you see any hope that this can change with our administration change? Like, we have the elections coming up 2026.
Yeah.
Do you see there's a hope, or do you already see maybe that Alexandre de Moraes or any politicians or any political ministry tries to um, make it not happen, that maybe Jair Bolsonaro can run again? Because I heard rumors that there are already tries to make that happen, that he's not able to run.
No, of course, he's actually already impeded from running next election. So
Okay.
just as the Supreme Court decided, actually the Electoral Court decided that Bolsonaro cannot run, based on a very bad case. They are implying that because he talked about our voting system, electronic voting system, the machines with ambassadors before the elections of 2022, he is against democracy and he cannot run. This is basically the case that's going on against Jair Bolsonaro. Of course, he wants to overturn it. He wants he is already challenging that decision in the same electoral court, but it's very difficult. So they don't want him to run. And one of the reasons why I am being investigated and being prosecuted is that if I get criminally convicted in Brazil by the Supreme Court,
can't
even
run.
by such a stupid claim that I have offended a public servant, which is, of course, completely ridiculous, I cannot run for 8 years.
So they're trying to block every potential threat for the next
That's right,
election.
especially in my case, because I want to become, at least I'm working for that senator in the next election. And that also means that if I become a senator, I will be sitting in a house that oversees and judges justices of the Supreme Court. So it's pure politics.
Yeah.
Political persecution, and it's very, pure form.
And my own experience was when I went to Brazil and I tried to get an interview with Alexandre de Moraes, talking about what he's doing in Brazil. And then in a very, I think it was coincidence, or not coincidence, but kind of working together, that they tried to seize my passport on the border just for leaving the country. Do you see this happen to many foreigners, journalists who come to your country?
We've heard some already that have been passed through this situation, like Sérgio Tavares from Portugal. We've seen Jason Miller being stopped at the airport too. So they do it to threaten people. They do it, to make people give up to go back to Brazil. But we've been seeing people brave enough, like it's your case, and others that continue to go and that actually don't not only are not afraid, but by this kind of threats, but that gain more motivation to fight with us against it.
Yeah.
So I think this is actually backfiring. Brazil, is very important in the political arena in the world. It's a very big country, the biggest in South America, and we cannot lose Brazil.
Yeah.
I mean, the world cannot lose Brazil. The free world cannot lose Brazil, and right now we are losing it. So we have to fight back. We have to recover it, and we have to tell the world how bad Lula is for our country.
So you are now in the UK, and I've seen a delegation of Brazilian deputies and members of the parliament went to different countries. You were recently in the United States talking to politicians, I think with Congresswoman Salazar.
Yes.
And now you are in the UK, so you're bringing the case of the fight of freedom of speech, actually at the fight of the whole freedom of Brazil to the world. Do you feel welcomed by those members of the parliament, or is it actually hard to reach them?
Oh no, we are feeling welcome. Yes, the case with X, for instance, raised all necessary concerns around the world. But of course, we also do understand that all these politicians have their own matters at home, right? So Brazil is an extra for their job. They have to represent their constituents. They have to work on their domestic agendas. And I, as a politician, understand how hard it is, to receive people from abroad, from, different contexts that bring other subjects that are not necessarily my priority. But in this case, in the case of Brazil, we see that because it affected also an American company, like it was the case with X and with Starlink, because Brazil is so important internationally, because the cause of freedom has been challenged there, and because censorship is on the rise, not only in Brazil, but throughout the world, this case has been treated by those who receive us with more attention than other cases that would be eventually brought to them. So I'm very grateful for people who are receiving us and listening to us, but we have also to keep them informed and in contact, because Brazil is our case. We have to continue to fight for our country, and of course we cannot depend on others to do that for us.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned, that the censorshipping, I would call it an ideology of censorshipping.
Yeah.
It's a global playbook, and I always, when I talk with other people and say, hey, have you heard about the case of Brazil? No, I haven't. So you have to look into it, because what happens in Brazil is so easily adaptable to the European Union, to UK, to the US. In the US, they try to do it now with Trump back in office. We are all hoping that this won't happen. So what are your hopes with having Elon Musk, RFK, Donald J. Trump back in the administration?
That's excellent. I mean,
That's excellent.
yeah, I mean, Elon Musk suffered in his own skin, and seeing Janja using the F word against him,
Yeah.
and this only helps us, because it shows how it has always been about politics.
Yeah.
It's never been about, what they say, like hate speech, or even like X not complying with legal measures. In which country a company like X would be like banned for everybody? I mean, nobody could use X during the electoral campaigns in Brazil, the local elections. So it was pure politics. It was very clear for those who wanted to see that. But now that Elon Musk is in the government in the United States, or will be in the government, seeing that the reaction of Janja, for instance, the wife of Lula, is like saying the F word against him, is a clear statement
Yeah, of disrespect.
something about politics.
And it's not like that communism just appeared. Like there are a lot of countries in history who tried to have communism. It never worked out.
It's
So
a step by step. You know, they're depriving us of our rights, of our basic freedom, step after step after step. And they do it while we are in a democracy until it's unrecognizable. So every other country should pay attention to what is going on in Brazil and in other places in the world. I watched 2 weeks ago a very good documentary called The Hong Konger. Actually, I've rewatched it. The Hong Konger is a very good documentary about a businessman called Jimmy Lim in Hong Kong who joined the protests against China. And he is now facing years in jail because of his protesting. And what happened in Hong Kong can happen anywhere. And it's happening in Brazil too.
yeah, it's and we have this hurdy speech problems in the UK. I don't know if you followed that people who just posted a meme on X, they got a home visit because they were criticizing the mass immigration problem what UK faces right now. So having all those Western countries having to face this war against freedom of speech, can you send a message to the people who are in the audience right now, what they can do? Like, we both know not being silent, but people who are just living their normal lives every day,
Yeah.
they can maybe be afraid, because we have a saying in Germany, you don't bite the hand what feeds you.
Yeah.
But maybe you can give them a kind of a motivated
Of course.
message.
Well, don't give up on the fight. I mean, those who censor, they cannot censor everybody. They pick some to set them as an example and to make everybody else be quiet. So if you stop, if you silence, you give victory to those who oppress. So continue to speak up. Continue to use your fundamental rights, basic constitutional rights that are there for centuries. We won't give up this fight. I won't give it up in Brazil, and I hope no one gives it up around the world, because I'm sure this way we will win.
Thank you so much. And thank you for listening. And I hope that everyone understands the importance of fighting for freedom of speech, because we only have one freedom, and if we lose it, we can't get it back. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.